Hey, how's it going? If you're new to this channel, I'm Nicole, and this channel is basically all about sort of just educational, experimental sound design and stuff like that. So sometimes I'll make videos just showing you guys how certain devices or plugins work and sort of explaining them step by step. And other times I just like to sort of experiment myself and explore and sort of take you guys along for the ride. And that's what we're going to be doing today. Today I thought we could sort of dive into Vital and see if we can make something cool with Vital. Now, it would be kind of a boring video if I just did the same sort of stuff that we've done in the past with Operator and Serum, but in Vital, because obviously you guys probably already kind of know how to sort of apply those techniques to Vital if you're a little bit familiar with Vital at all. So today I thought maybe we could take a little bit of a different approach and use some of Vital's unique features to get some cool sort of sounds. So if you remember in the last few videos, we kind of had a formula for creating watery textures. And that was lots of separate frequencies all happening at different rates, at different frequencies, sort of like randomly. And if you do that right, you do that well, usually you'll get a sort of watery texture out the other end. And in the last few videos, we used saw waves a lot of the time because they have a lot of frequencies and they're easy to sort of manipulate and sort of isolate all those different frequencies and then randomize those frequencies with delays and all sorts of different modulation and stuff to get watery textures. So maybe we could do a similar thing with Vital, except use some of the specific features it has to get more of a unique sound. So maybe instead of a saw wave, another signal that has a lot of frequencies is obviously white noise, because white noise is basically every frequency at once, right? So what better signal to use than white noise, I guess, for water? So if we just disable oscillator 1 for the time being and go to the sampler, you can see it has a bunch of different noise samples built in. And you can see I'm using a spectrogram. I think, in my opinion anyway, like when you're doing experimental sound design and stuff, it's really good to have a spectrogram on a screen that you can readily see while you're sort of making a sound. That way you sort of generate more of a deeper understanding of what you're actually doing. And just for instance, with this white noise, you might be taught that white noise is every frequency at once, but obviously here you can see it is every frequency at once, but you can definitely see that it's definitely sort of more biased towards the high end, so it's more of a bright noise. True white noise should be like evenly spread out through the whole spectrum. So basically we've just learned that Vital's white noise is more of a bright white noise. So and maybe instead of using that one, we can use a different one. So what is brown noise like? So that's more biased to the low frequencies. Pink noise. See, that's a lot more sort of consistent, which might be a better starting point for us. Now, if you remember with the last few videos with the saw waves that we were using, we kind of sculpted out the sort of individual harmonics with the filter. So we could probably kind of do that with the noise here. Maybe if we used a band pass, like a really thin band pass, 24 dB per octave, boost the resonance or something. And make sure we're feeding the sampler through it now. And this could work, I guess. Definitely still sounds like noise though. I mean, it could work. But what I thought would be really cool is maybe we could use Vital's spectral filters. And the reason the spectral filters are really, really good is because you can really sort of hone in on these individual harmonics and get some really clean sort of sounds, even with things like white noise. So the problem is that Vital doesn't have the spectral filter on the sampler, because basically the spectral filters, if we go into here, if you don't know, the spectral filters are contained in this sort of section. You go spectral filter, and then you can click on the pencil tool and draw your own sort of filter, and we can see it's affecting this saw wave here. We're changing the cutoff with this knob, and the phase is what it's called down here, which is basically changing the slope, I guess, almost. Okay, so how do we get the spectral filter on the noise? Well, we actually can't long story short, we can't. But we can get this noise into the oscillator. So the way we do that is we enable oscillator 1, bring this level down. We'll just get rid of this. Make sure everything's initialized. All you have to do now is right click here and go resynthesize preset to wavetable. Just make sure that this level is zeroed out, otherwise you'll capture the saw wave too. So resynthesize preset to wavetable, disable the sampler here, and then bring the level up. Now we have that noise sort of captured in this wavetable. The reason it sounds like an oscillator now is because it's just sort of repeating one little sort of snippet of that noise over and over again, so we get more of a stable oscillator type sound. But if we scan through the wavetable now, it will actually sound like white noise, which is cool. So to make sure this is sounding like noise and not like an oscillator, I guess, maybe we'll randomize the wavetable position. So this sort of slider here is the wavetable position, or the frame. So if we use maybe a sample and hold random modulator here, so these are our random modulators. If we go down here to sample and hold and put it on seconds mode, so this is unsynced to the BPM, and then we'll route that onto there by just clicking and dragging, and then we can bring the rate all the way down. So let's start sounding like white noise all the way up, sorry. So around about 0.02 seconds is when it starts sounding like actual noise instead of an oscillator. Yeah. Okay, obviously it doesn't sound like water. It kind of sounds like a heavy rainstorm or something like that. So. Now what we can do is use the spectral filter, because that was the whole point of this thing, wasn't it? Yeah, it kind of sounds like heavy rain, which is cool. But maybe we want something different here. So if we go into the spectral filter, see this phase parameter is basically just changing the slope of the filter. Not really sure why it's called phase, to be honest. Something to do with the spectral stuff, maybe. So what if we actually make this even thinner by doing this? So we're basically just changing the shape of the spectral filter at this point. And we're getting individual harmonics coming through now, which is good. Now, maybe we can make it into sort of like individual raindrops or something. So instead of a sort of static oscillator, maybe we can use an LFO here and make it more of a amplitude envelope sort of thing, like this. I go into seconds mode, and then drag this onto the level here. So we'll bring that level down. Do this. We're starting to get a little bit of sort of wateriness coming through now. Bring this rate up. What's our rate? We'll make it the same rate as our sample and hold modulator here. So enter value 0.015. They should be synced up now. And now what we'll do is we'll make another sample and hold modulator, I guess. 0.015, so the same rate. We're trying to sync everything up here. And then we'll drag this onto the cutoff of our filter. Hopefully that will sound pretty cool. And then we'll right click and go make bipolar. Oh, okay, there we go. That's pretty watery. Now I might chuck a compressor into our effects just to bring the level up. So we'll go single band. This is a nice little hack for Vital, I guess. If you think everything's too quiet and you don't want to use the master level here, you can use a single compressor. You're using the compressor up, but you can make things louder too while you do it. So we'll bring the threshold down a little bit and maybe like this. And then with this band parameter, you can just change the level. So in our spectrogram, we're getting lots of different frequencies happening randomly. Pretty neat. Why don't we link all of these rates for our sample and hold modulators and our LFO here? We'll sync that to a macro. So drag that on there. Minus 0.4. Same with this one. Okay, select that and then point to the value. Minus 0.4. Now it should slow down when I increase this macro. There we go. Pretty interesting. I'll make this even thinner. I think a problem is we're getting too many frequencies. See? Multiple harmonics at once. So when this macro is the slowest, we want the phase to be max. So we basically just take that to 0, go like that, and then drag the macro onto here. Cool. And I think it would be cool to, first off, we'll rename the speed. But I want everything to be sort of slower when speed's at 0 and faster when it's max instead of the other way around, if that makes sense. So I think the way we do that is we go into the matrix and we find everything that's routed to macro 1. So these 4 things here. And then we just flip this mod remap like so on each of those. Cool. Now also, let's have a look here. Yes, we could also map this macro to the filter cutoff. And we could name this frequency. So this just changes the frequencies that we're targeting, I guess. So lower frequencies, higher frequencies. It's really tiny. Cool. Something pretty watery, I guess. Now, maybe we could play with the unison. Yeah, that's pretty neat. Go to the advanced tab and change the dechain range. Maybe we could change the, I think this is called the distortion parameter or something. Maybe there's a cool one in here. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, that's cool. Kind of sounds like a laser or something. So we'll map this to a macro 2. Call it laser. Cool, now maybe we can dive into the effects. Maybe we'll do a delay again, eh? Delays are always good on this type of sound. We'll go ping pong. Change the rate till it sounds decent, I guess. Something like that. Nice. This is already sounding pretty cool, to be honest. So every time I play a note, we're getting something completely different. And definitely usable too, which is really cool. So you could add these as textures to drums or something, or like little, just make little cool like watery riser effects if you want. Okay, and maybe we'll randomize the frequency. So we'll make both of these the same. So enter value 0.057. And then we use just the normal Perlin random modulator here. And route this to both the times. Maybe we want to go the other way. So minus 0.92. Do the same. For consistency's sake, minus 0.192. Maybe we'll just add a little bit of distortion to tame those sort of peaks. So hard clip is definitely probably the best choice for this. Because if we go soft clip, it will be coloring the sound a bit more, which we don't really want to do. Want to keep it kind of as clean as possible. So just to get my point across about the rises and stuff like that, you could just hold down a note and chuck it onto high pass mode on this filter here, and then just drag that up. Bring the resonance up maybe. And then add a envelope onto that. Something like that. Lots of little really crazy watery rises now, and obviously you can reverse that to get like more of an impact sort of thing. Make it into more of a riser, and then on this last macro I'll bring the mix down to 0 and chuck this macro onto the mix of this filter, and then name this riser mode. And now we have a macro that basically turns it into a riser. And maybe I will also do the same with the sustain here. So I'll make it by default to be more of a little. So every time I'm playing a note, I'll just change my camera so you can see. Every time I play a note, I'm holding it down, but I'm just getting single hits. But then I can, on this macro here, just bring the sustain up with the macro, and then this will change it into a riser. Gotta bring that cutoff down. Why is this not working? There we go. Cool. Now maybe we can chuck the phaser on. That's pretty cool. And we'll just put some sort of triangle shaped LFOs on maybe the center. Bring the rate down here. How do we make this non-trigger, like free running? Sync? Yeah, sync I guess it is. Make this bipolar. That's pretty cool. Bring this master up a little bit. And I guess we could shape it a little bit now with an EQ. Maybe we want to boost like the bass loops a little bit. Something like that, I don't know. And chuck some reverb on. There we go. That's pretty cool. Cool, I guess I'll save this preset because it's sounding pretty nice. What do we call this? I find it hard to name watery presets because I end up always just thinking, I'll just name it watery bloops. Bloop. There we go, bloop, plap. Good enough. So if you bring this frequency up, that's okay, just tiny little drips in a cave or something, which is cool. Bring the frequency down. It sounds like we're underwater or something or other. Obviously we can bring the speed up and down. So speed all the way down is more of a sort of sound effecty kind of thing, I guess. Bring the riser mode up. The speed down. That's pretty cool. If we played lots of different notes at the same time. Whoa. I just had an idea. What if we go play just heaps and heaps different notes at the same time? Like a tone apart. Copy them. Something like that. What does this sound like? Bring the voices all the way up to max. That sounds pretty interesting, honestly. How many notes is that? So we've got 32 voices, I'm not sure if we're using them all. But, what if I put an arpeggiator onto this? Oh no. What's going to happen now if I put an arpeggiator onto this and put it on random mode? With the rate unsynced. Holy fuck. And yeah, we could like mess with this some more, just like outside of Vital, like with an EQ. We could make our own sort of bandpass filter here. Make it sound like it's underwater. Kind of crazy that this sound is just a synth and an EQ. I mean, technically an arpeggiator, but we could be playing all these notes just with our fingers, right? I've got 10 million fingers. Don't know about you. I'm going to add this to a rack, to be honest. And map this rate to modulator 1. And inverse the range. And then maybe also map the low and high pass filters to macros 2. So macro 2, macro 3. Pretty neat. And other cool effects you might want to try. We could put another delay on this, but we've been there, done that in the last few videos. So if you haven't seen those, definitely check them out because they're pretty neat. Basically, you can just stack a bunch of different delays and get some really insane watery textures. Same with vocoder. I could put a vocoder on this and get some interesting sounds. something similar to what we did in the last few videos. Sort of thing, but been there, done that, I guess. But how about maybe we'll mess with spectral time? That will be fun. Spectral time's a really interesting device. So we could bring the dry wet to max here. Turn off the delay. And turn on retrigger mode onto onsets. Bring the sensitivity up. And then enable freeze. And change to this like sort of fade out mode. That's pretty crazy. Now we have another delay in here too. What would this sound like with OTT on it? Bring the amount down. Time up. But yeah, that's how you can make some really crazy watery textures with Vital, I guess. If you guys have any other ideas about how to do this kind of thing, maybe you have different workflows to get some watery textures and stuff. Obviously, there'd probably be way more simpler ways to do this in Vital, I guess. But if you have any, definitely let me know in the comments or join my Discord server, which I'll link in the description. And you guys can just send me a patch through Discord or something like that, and we can chat in real time and everything, so that'll be really cool. But yeah, I'm going to upload this preset and this rack to my Patreon. So if you guys want to just grab it and play around yourself without having to go through and recreate it, definitely have a look at my Patreon. It's only a few dollars a month, and it really, really helps to support the channel and gives me the sort of energy to carry on making content for you guys. And there's exclusive videos, tutorials, sample packs and stuff on there, and racks and things. So yeah, definitely check that out. In the next video I'll probably do a bit more of a deep dive into spectral time and see if we can make any cool sounds with spectral time, and I'll go through and actually explain what each parameter does one by one, so you guys can really sort of understand it yourself, how it's working and how to use it and stuff. You can make some really cool glitchy drum loops and dispersory sort of watery oscillator sounds and heaps of really crazy special effects with spectral time. It's really, really cool device that lots of people sleep on. So yeah, if you guys want to see that video, definitely hit the subscribe button. But yeah, until then, I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.